Candace.
And I'm Ripley.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The show where Ka-Zar is not invited to his own book.
I'm just looking at Zabu's paws on this cover, and they're a little bit, wrong.
I think they're very small.
They are small, but they're also bad.
See, I was more looking at Zabu's fucking face.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on with that? That shit ain't right.
I can deal with his face.
I can't deal with his face. I also want to know what Daredevil is doing in the Savage Land, but I can't help that because this issue on Marvel Unlimited does not include the Ka-Zar reprints.
And also what appears to be pirates, maybe?
Modern pirates, mostly, because that guy's got, like, blue jeans on.
Well, yeah, but this guy has the hat and coat.
Yeah.
And the turn-down boots.
It's just one of them stupid theme gangs.
Mm-hmm. So this Ka-Zar issue doesn't actually have the Ka-Zar part?
No, because this series was just a bunch of reprints of early Ka-Zar appearances. You'll actually see, I don't think you'll see it, it might have been the first one, the one that we don't look at.
Uh-huh.
But there's one where the X-Men are in there.
Okay.
And it's one of the ones we've read. So yeah, we're leading, I didn't actually say which issue this was of Ka-Zar, so I suppose I should get to that.
Yeah.
We lead off this episode with the Beast story from Ka-Zar number 2 from July of 1970. As I mentioned at the end of last episode, like I said, Ka-Zar actually has fuck all to do with this story, so I'm not sure why it's running in the Ka-Zar book. CMRO didn't have the details on what it is, it's just reprints. But it's got the Beast story running alongside, but it is written by Jerry Siegel, who is actually one of the co-creators of Superman, so that's cool.
Ah.
George Tuska is on pencils, inked by Dick Ayers, and Sam Rosen rounding us off on letters.
Ka-Zar on the little cap image looks a lot like Thor.
Ka-Zar does look a lot like Thor. Zabu's not looking his best.
No. He never is.
Truly, no, he isn't, but... Well, you know, get ready for things to get real Silver Age. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in!
We're not out yet.
We're not out yet.
Not even close.
Well, I'm almost out. We open on Angel, unfortunately wearing that awful outfit Jean made him, instead of the new hotness that Magneto so graciously provided. He's just flying above the city. It's not specified which, but I think we can safely assume New York. Suddenly, his carefree night comes to a halt when Warren spots a van backing up to the doors of a bank. Well, bank hours are long past, so something's not kosher here.
They have a battering ram in the back of their truck.
They do.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? It's so over the top. I love it. Warren considers calling his friends, but he decides not to, because, one, they would stop him from rushing in half-cocked, and we can't have that. But anyways, he's got the urge to go it alone. It's probably fair. It's not like the X-Men could really get here in time to be very useful. They're bank robbers. Warren watches as they deploy that battering ram you were talking about from the back of the vehicle, smashing down the doors of the bank. The robbers then helpfully discuss their roles in this robbery, which probably they should have done ahead of time if they have to go take care of a guard, like one of them says.
You know, generally, it's not the front doors of the bank that you have to deal with.
That's what they thought.
Usually, it's the vault.
Yeah, oh, they're gonna get to the vault, don't worry.
What? Why?
That's actually what's going on here, even though it's impossible to tell that's what's going on here. Yeah.
No, they're backed up to the front door.
Oh, I know. No, they're backed up to the front door, then I don't know why the doors were made of fucking steel, but they used the battering ram. And then, yeah, that's a good point. Why don't they bring back the van into the fucking bank and just battering ram the vault?
I'm just wondering why this bank has such high security on their front door.
I know. They've got windows all over the place, too,
right,
like any other fucking bank, so why
just grab a fucking brick.
No shit. But yeah, so it's not easy to tell from this panel down here, but what is actually happening is this guy breaking into the vault. So yeah, that's what the beautiful Thum is. Don't let the Hulk cut you talking about him. That stuff makes him angry, and you wouldn't like him when he's angry. It's one of the few Hulk things that I know.
How did they get into the vault, though?
This guy just did something, and now the vault is broken.
Okay.
It's never clarified.
All right.
He's just in the vault. That's
I guess I'll stop asking questions. This is no worse than the Circus of Crime that we covered last issue.
We're doing bad at crimes lately.
We are.
Yeah, it could have been very much better communicated, but whatever. Angel has seen enough. It's time to dole out some vigilante justice to these fools. He swoops into the bank through the open doors, quickly laying out all 4 of the bank robbers. Alerted by the sound, several officers of the NYPD...
The sound of the fucking battering ram?
The sound of the battering ram, or the sound of Angel kicking ass, or the sound of the vault being...
Right, whatever happened to the vault.
It got thumbed. That's all I know.
Right.
See, he thumbed the shit out of that door.
He did.
The NYPD comes rushing onto the scene, and at least one of them's fairly impressed by Angel's handiwork, until the cop recognizes Angel and then calls him a freak. Understandably, Warren's kind of pissed about this, so he just drops the goon he's holding and then takes off, angrily flying back home. But not the home we're used to. He's headed back to the Worthington estate to see his parents, who apparently still don't know about Warren's secret life.
Why does his house have 2 chimneys?
Because there's a fireplace on each end because it's big and fancy rich people houses.
Well, because they're rich people. So
exactly.
They have, like, one's for the sitting room and one's for the den.
Mm-hmm. One's for Papa Worthington's study.
Dear God, this woman in the lower right.
I think it's actually supposed to be the same woman. Like, I was torn because it didn't make any sense to me that it would be the same woman, but, like, I don't know. It says that Matilda leaves, so I'm assuming that's his mom's name. And then she's here to answer the phone, and I guess she just threw on a wig and a grimace and a new coat on her way to answer the phone. I don't know what the fuck's up with that.
Just the coloring went wonky there, because her...
Everything.
Yeah.
is wrong.
Yeah, and also the face is bad. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, also the face is bad. Warren thinks briefly on all the things he has to do to pass for a normal guy. He has to dress differently, he has to bind down his wings, he has to act differently, and every time this happens with Warren, I feel more justified in my headcanon that he's trans.
You're right.
Finally prepared, he comes downstairs to greet his parents. Apparently, Warren Worthington Jr. has not been feeling well, and he's been under doctor's orders to rest. Warren Worthington III is very concerned about his father.
Oh, God.
But is quickly interrupted by a call from Candy. I think we're probably just going to call him Junior going forward.
Okay.
Just to sort that.
You
keep
could
things
just call
straight.
him Warren's dad.
Why would I do that?
For clarity?
Because it sounds icky. That's why. Well, Candy is looking to hit the town with Warren, but Warren's very tempted to just cancel, because he's still very concerned about his dad, which may be why he's staying here instead of at the mansion, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. But whatever it is, it wasn't grave enough that it stopped him from going out flying, now was it? Well, Junior urges his son to go out anyway, and he doesn't need that much convincing, as soon he and Candy are headed off to a club with a hot new band playing.
The Fun Place.
Indeed.
Is what it's called.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place to go. The Fun Place.
Low on ideas there's, Jerry?
Yeah.
I know what the kids like.
The Fun Place.
Elsewhere, 2 henchmen, dressed just like the earlier robbers, fly towards the Statue of Liberty on something I can only describe as an air scooter. Quickly, they slip into some secret room below the Statue of Liberty where they talk to their boss, Dazzler.
An air Segway.
Yeah.
More like.
Yeah. Well, they come talk to Dazzler, who looks very different than you may be accustomed to Dazzler looking.
Yeah. She had some work done.
Yeah, well, it's not Dazzler, it's the Dazzler, which is apparently different.
I see.
The Dazzler then orders his men to kill Warren Worthington with a ray blaster, and to make sure he knows it's coming. All of this under penalty of death.
Which one?
Not clarified at this point. He's already pissed off over how the bank robbery went earlier, so no one else had better fuck anything up. Warren and Candy are having a real night at the club, swept away by the lights and the music, but eventually Warren does come to a compromise with his earlier conflict.
The band is called The Far Outs.
Yep. And someone makes a very clever, no wonder that combo's called The Far Outs. Any further out and they'd be lost in space.
This is what kids like.
I do like this panel of them dancing because it does look very fluid.
It does.
Like they could actually be dancing.
Yeah.
But Warren decides it's like, okay, well, I was worried about my dad. I did go out. My compromise is going to be that I'm going to go back home now, a little bit earlier in the night. So they wrap it up, and he and Candy start off towards home. Wind in their hair, music blasting, and just having a good time. Side note, I don't remember Candy being a redhead. She must have died. Meanwhile, at the Worthington home, it's finally cleared up which Warren Worthington is in grave danger, as the would-be assassin crouches outside the window of Junior's study, where the man sits all alone, unaware of the sinister eyes upon him. But then, they don't burst into Junior's study. Instead, they break in to terrify Matilda for no reason before continuing on to Worthington's study. He threatens to call the police, but never gets the chance, as the henchmen cut him down with the ray blaster. Meanwhile, Warren and Candy's joyful drive home continues, only to slam full speed into a news bulletin announcing Junior's murder.
Wow, he just died.
He just died. I guess he's rich and
We're just
important.
killing Warren's dad in a B story in Ka-Zar number 2.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you see why I had to make a fucking detour here, because this seems important.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we're reading fucking Ka-Zar for no reason. Understandably distraught, Warren immediately pulls off the road and exits the car. Less understandably, he barks for Candy to leave him alone and just get out of his life.
He's upset. It's understandable.
He is. It's a bit unwarranted, but grief is a vicious thing.
Unwarranted?
Oh, die. Warren climbs up an embankment away from Candy and then strips away his clothes, revealing his superhero costume, which definitely wasn't there when we saw him changing earlier, but okay, that's really not important.
It's fine.
It's fine. What is important is that the news bulletin stated that the killers escaped by the skies, and so he takes off into the dark night, leaving both Candy and his car behind in his search for vengeance, which I guess he didn't leave Candy high and dry without any form of transportation.
Did he leave the keys?
Assumedly. I mean, he got out in a pretty big rush. Now, I have no idea how any of this makes sense, but Angel's bird-like sense of direction is guiding him. Now, one, I don't think that's been a thing up until now, and two, why would that be how it worked, just as a homing beacon for whatever the fuck you want? If you don't know where these guys are, how does that help?
Yeah, that's not how birds work.
It's not. I mean, even if you're going like homing pigeons, they have to be to the place first.
Mm-hmm.
Warren quickly catches up to the hench assassins, still making a getaway on their jet pogo sticks, which is apparently what the scooters are called.
Okay.
Weird name. They look like scooters, and they also don't bounce.
They do bounce. Once.
That's true. That's true. The two men spot the young hero and attempt to draw a bead on him, but he's too fast, and he knocks the gun out of one of their hands before ducking away for cover. Because, yeah, he's not really equipped to fight these guys at all because they have a gun, at least not without some strategic advantages.
You mean wings don't work against gun?
Yeah, there's some ducks that would be very surprised to learn that. So, Warren draws the henchmen down into the city, using the buildings as cover, swirling around to catch one of the henchmen off guard, while the other one is nowhere to be seen. The one he gets his hands on lives to regret following him, as Warren slams his fist into the man's face again and again, only interrupted when Framus, along with some of his cop buddies, physically haul Angel off the man. Yeah, Framus returns.
Framus.
His name is Fred now, but I don't know. Maybe it's Amos. Maybe that's his middle name. He's Framus now.
It doesn't say Fred though. It says Agent Duncan.
It comes up later. They do mention that he's Fred.
Okay.
But yeah, he is Agent Duncan, and Agent Duncan attempts to calm Warren, offering to help him get his hands on the man behind the plot, the Dazzler. Warren doesn't want his help, and now he has a name to go on. Fuck off, Framus! Now that's the end of the story, but let's no prize why Framus was here to begin with. My guess is he still got his eyes on the X-Men, so when news came in of Junior's death, he was like, oh god, I wrote Senior there. I had to go back and fix all that over and over and over again, all the times I typed Senior, because he's old, he's not a junior. Yeah, so I'm guessing that Framus heard that and he was like, oh shit, and got on scene quickly. It's possible, especially given the costume, that this is a flashback, though, to when Charles was dead and Framus was, like, actively involved.
That's what I was just wondering is this, like, asynchronous, and it's happening in that period where they were like, oh, the X-Men have to split up?
That's how it feels, but it's weird that Warren never mentioned his father getting fucking murdered to his friends.
Right?
But whatever, this is what we got. Continuing on with our story, we move on to the B story for Ka-Zar number 3 from October of 1970. Now, thank God we didn't have to wait 3 months for our update to this story.
Why didn't he let go? Now he's sure to be killed.
Ka-Zar, you fucking idiot.
Ka-Zar and Zabu meet Spider-Man and Daredevil.
Oh god, Daredevil's back with Ka-Zar. God, Ka-Zar has encountered Daredevil more than once.
Yeah.
Written by Jerry Siegel, penciled by George Tuska, inks by Dick Ayers, and the letterer is not marked on this issue. I don't know. It could be Sam Rosen, who did the first part. It could be Artie Simek, who did the third part. They didn't bother to mention.
Great.
Warren is still furiously raging at the Dazzler as a confused policeman and Framus watch. Agent Duncan tries once more to talk him down, offering him resources and help, as the cops also want to bring this guy in. He's obviously into some other shady shit. Warren's got no interest in pulling the brakes for even a single moment. Angry and hurting, yet again he lashes out that he shouldn't have to follow the law because he's a mutant, which, okay. Framus then reminds him that he's sounding a little bit too much like Magneto right now, and that finally manages to get through to Warren so he can bring his temper back down a little bit. At least to the point that he now remembers his probably utterly distraught mother home alone. He's not done with the Dazzler just yet, but he's needed elsewhere. Speaking of Dazzler, what's he up to? He's anxiously awaiting the return of his henchpeople, but there's been no sign of them. Well, he's going to find them. Luckily for him, their costumes contain chemoid particles that he can trace with his Dazzler beams to find the wave particles of the blah 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 blah.
They contain what now? Chemoid particles?
Yeah, chemoid particles. And then
what is that?
They're particles that he can trace with his Dazzler beams.
Okay, that clears it up. Thank you.
Yeah. After tracing his Dazzler beams to the wave particles, he finds that his men are in a police station and activates microphones built into their costumes to listen in. Sure, whatever. I'm not actually sure how the second henchperson was brought in unless the first guy Warren hit actually got knocked off his jet pogo stick. He's lucky he's alive if that's the case, but he is here nonetheless. Framus threatens to leak information that they already confessed, feeling that their underworld buddies would probably not be thrilled with that, and after a moment to think, the goons agree to squeal. But with the Dazzler listening in, there's no way he's going to allow that to happen. And so he turns the chemoid particles in their clothing to antimatter, completely erasing the pair from existence, right before the disbelieving eyes of Agent Duncan and the cops.
And us.
Me too.
Yeah. I am also disbelieving.
Now with all that settled, the Dazzler returns to threaten his subordinates once more. Oh, I didn't even mention the fact that he throws a fucking goblet.
A goblet? I was just going to say that.
I don't know how the fuck I didn't mention that, but yeah.
Also, I hate his bumpy mask.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
He's got mask acne.
Maskne.
Oh, I don't like it. There's no other way to do it though, so. Back home, Warren quickly rushes to the ringing phone, hoping for an update from Agent Duncan, though, hey, I thought you didn't want Duncan's help. What happened to that? He was caught up in emotion. Whatever. But it is not Duncan. It's an undertaker trying to sell Warren his services to lay his father to rest. Warren is very upset about this, but I'm not entirely sure I get it. Like, I get being upset, and sure the guy's being a little money-grubbing and predatory about it, but, like, he's not wrong. Junior's final accommodations do need to be handled.
Yeah, you do need to deal with that, Warren.
Yeah. There's not only justice that needs to be focused on right now, so maybe dial the rage back a little bit. But hey, your mileage may vary on this one. Maybe you think he's being overly predatory. I don't know. Continuing his temper tantrum, Warren breaks something before turning to a picture of Candy, blaming her for his not being there to protect his dad. Had he been, maybe he could have prevented this. But no, he had to go out with Candy.
Your dad told you to do it.
So really, this is all Candy's fault.
Sure. I guess it is.
Makes perfect sense. Before he gets the chance to continue on with his rampage, or comfort his mother, I might add, he suddenly is seized some sort of blinding energy. In the blink of an eye, Warren is no longer at home, but surrounded by a crowd of henchmen, dressed just the same as the ones he'd been fighting off earlier. Apparently, the Dazzler now wants something from Warren Worthington III. He's not going to go down that easily. He's fighting mad. And with all of his training, he's more than holding his own against the lackeys. Finally, one of them manages to hit him upside the head of a blunt object of some form or another, and it's lights out for Angel. At the Dazzler's orders, they lock him in a cell. Warren eventually does awake, taking stock of his situation. Eventually, he spots an air vent and references a really old song about a guy wanting to break out of prison to get back to his babe. It's not a good song, it's just a song. He decides that now is the time to change into costume, which I totally don't get. He doesn't know you're the Angel, Warren. You're practically telling him.
I don't think that seems like a bad idea.
Right. Then again, it does free him up to be able to use his wings if he has to, instead of having them totally bound, which, I can get. Still, he's stuck with them pinned close anyway, given that he's climbed into an air vent. Crawling through the vents, he finally comes to an opening. He peers out into the room, listening to the Dazzler as he talks to some of his henchmen. He gloats over Junior's death and how he plans to use this for profit, somehow. Crawling through the vents, he finally comes to an opening. He peers into the room, listening to the Dazzler as he talks to some of his henchmen. The Dazzler gloats over Junior's death and how he somehow plans to use this for profit. In a swift, and I'm not sure entirely possible movement, Warren bursts out of the vent in a single burst of motion, jumping onto the Dazzler's back and knocking him into one of the henchies. I don't think that's really possible.
I don't either. I was just thinking that before you even said it.
Yeah.
He's in this tiny vent, his wings are pinned to him. There's no way that he could possibly
spring out?
Straight out.
Right, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Unless he, was able to brace his feet against something and kick off. That's the only way.
If he went out feet first, it would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But as this stands, it really doesn't. But whatever, he's knocked Dazzler down into one of the henchmen. And soon the other henchman, too, is down, but the Dazzler picks himself up, seemingly unafraid for his own safety. For you see, he has Candy Southern trapped in some kind of stasis tube. Why?
What is she doing here?
Right. Well, he didn't transport Mumbo number 3 over here for no reason. He kidnapped Candy as well, so he could use her to force Warren to do whatever he wanted him to do, with the threat of her safety on the line. And he's willing to bet that the Angel isn't going to let this girl be killed either. No one in his headquarters has bothered to check up on Warren, so who cares about that now, I guess? But we do care about the Angel and just who's under this mask anyway.
These past 2 issues, I just keep looking at, speaking of which, Warren's mask, and wondering how it works and how it stays on his face.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work.
It doesn't make sense.
Maybe he uses fashion tape.
On his face?
Yeah.
That sounds really uncomfortable.
It does. The things we do for fashion. Oh wait, this outfit's terrible.
This outfit is awful.
Next time on Dazzler the Movie. No, wait, that's something different.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Is it?
It is a thing.
Okay.
It's not an actual movie. It's a comic called Dazzler the Movie.
Uh-huh.
It's about 80 pages long, and it's awful.
That's really long.
It's really long.
Don't stop now.
They just stopped printing Ka-Zar reprints after 3 issues. So for our third part of the story, we actually have to move over to Marvel Tales number 30 from December of 1970. Written by Jerry Siegel, pencils by George Tuska, inks by Dick Ayers, and letters by Artie Simek.
I see you got this off of one of those trucks.
Yeah, it fell off of one of those trucks because Marvel Unlimited doesn't have it.
Yeah, so we had to find it elsewhere.
It was on a truck, as previously discussed.
Yes.
So it's a little harder to read, actually.
Yeah.
But we're going to do our best here. I think it's about 50.
50?
Yeah.
That's so many pages.
Written by Jerry Siegel, penciled by George Tuska.
Dear God. How many fucking pages? You need 69, apparently.
Nice. There's a Spider-Man story in there.
A very long Spider-Man story.
Yeah, Spider-Man reprint time. Oh, yep, there we go. To cage an angel.
To kill a Spider-Man, to cage an angel.
My God. We've got quite the to-do list. We don't actually get to see Warren's unveiling. When we open the book, he's already unmasked, which is actually kind of disappointing to me.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't know why I wanted to see it so much, but I did. I guess maybe because it's never happened before. I don't think so, anyway. Well, he's fighting off the group of henchmen that the Dazzler summoned to make sure he didn't struggle against the unmasking. Seems like that was probably a good choice, though, given that he is now flinging henchies around like it's nothing. Though I don't know why he decided he had to, given that he could have just continued to use Candy's safety as a bargaining chip even more now. But the Dazzler decides he wants to get in on the unmasking fun, pulling off his own mask to reveal Uncle Bert!
Uncle Bert! No, anyone but Uncle Bert!
Warren II's brother. So here's the deal. Apparently Bert has a record. He at some point found himself in prison, for what we don't know. When he was released, he asked his brother for help getting back on his feet. Somehow this got Junior involved in a diamond smuggling syndicate.
Well, he's rich, so...
How do you just accidentally end up in a diamond smuggling syndicate?
Well...
Apparently Warren II, he was fine with this, though. He didn't care about the diamond smuggling until he found out that the Dazzler had more nefarious purposes than operating a diamond smuggling syndicate.
Oh, that's why he's called the Dazzler, because he smuggles diamonds.
Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe that's what's under the bumps on his mask.
Gross. It's exfoliating.
Uncle Bert's got the smoothest skin in town. Well, Junior was going to tell the cops, so the Dazzler had him killed. And now he wants to take over the world with his diamond smuggling by putting the world's largest diamond in some kind of contraption called the Spatial Disruptor. And Warren is supposed to get it? Why Warren would have access to this diamond, even if he wasn't the angel, I don't know. Warren bursts loose from the henchmen holding him, determined to stop good old Uncle Bert's plan from coming to fruition. He takes off, using one of the henchmen as a human shield before changing things around, instead using another motherfucker kind, hurl him at one of his gun-toting buddies.
That is a Homestuck joke.
You motherfucker, you didn't have to call me out on that.
It's obvious, though.
I was just gonna let it slide.
Continued after next page.
I was trying to just slip that in there.
No, I will call that out as many times as is necessary.
Okay, but another motherfucker kind is such a good concept.
I suppose.
There's just something so funny about beating someone with another person.
Join now, America's only monster fan club. That's Tumblr.
Yeah, I don't know. You're maybe back then, buddy.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah. Yet again, he blocks more blasts with a fuel tank, getting clear right before some goons hit it, causing an explosion.
That's a bad thing to use as a shield.
That's a bad plan. Yet again, though, the angel escapes harm, closing in on still more henchmen to take down. In the end, though, the Dazzler gets him by, I don't know, blasting him with his Dazzler beams.
Dazzling him.
Yeah. I feel like I should do jazz hands whenever he's fucking dazzling someone.
Mm-hmm. So is he a mutant too?
No, he just has, or maybe, I don't think so, mutant power of Dazzler beams.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think so, but hey, you know.
He eats diamonds and they give him I-beams.
That's it. Well, whatever. He's had it with trying to get his nephew to willingly follow through on his plan. He and his henchmen wrestle Warren into some kind of helmet and then into another stasis tube right beside Candy's that I don't recall seeing before. He brainwashes Warren, ordering him to go collect his diamond and bring it back. But even though he's supposed to be brainwashed, he still threatens Candy for some reason. That may have been a good idea, though, because apparently the device only works on Homo sapiens and not Homo superior for some reason. I don't know why that would be a thing, but okay. they make some weird assertions at this point in time about things mutants can do. Like, remember when Charles was just better at athletics because he was a telepath?
Yeah. Look at these ads.
Yeah.
Pet baby raccoons. One of America's favorite pets.
Enjoy an exciting romantic look. Impressive anytime. I mean, I feel it. I'm swooning right now looking at this guy.
Yeah, he's handsome.
I do like the baby raccoons, man. What a great choice. What else we got? Nothing all that exciting except do Houdini magic.
Play guitar in 7 days.
I mean, I could play guitar now, but it wouldn't have to sound good. I could just brong. You know how that sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently brainwashing doesn't work on mutants.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just that machine in particular doesn't work on mutants.
You know, fair enough. Warren does indeed go to collect the diamond from some mob contact who's been working with the Dazzler to ensure this works out well for the Magia. I think the Magia. Marvel's very inconsistent about the Magia versus the Mafia. But Warren opens the box to look at the giant gem. Actually, if he had a mob contact, why the fuck didn't he go or send one of his henchmen or something?
Like,
why did he need
Warren for this?
I don't
See, when
know.
it said he needed Warren, I assumed it was like, oh, because he's rich, he can get an invite to, like, this fancy party where the diamond is going to be at. But no.
See, like, what I was thinking was that it was somehow in, like, Junior's account or in a safe deposit box at the bank. And that's why they were trying to break in.
Right.
But then after that didn't work, he needed his nephew now to go in and get it.
Right.
See, that's kind of where I was going, but no, he just didn't want to go, I guess.
Just didn't feel like it. This diamond also looks like shit.
Diamond does look like shit. But apparently no one else thinks so. Later, the Dazzler gloats to his henchmen about how he's going to use his diamond to make the spatial disruptor kill people. It's still not clear, but we get the point. Somehow it seems to be a recurring theme in this story. This would be bad. That's all we need to know. It's bad. Moments later, in soars the Angel, diamond in hand. The Dazzler then has his henchmen force Warren back towards the tube after he argues for Candy's release now that the job is done. Dazzler doesn't even wait so long as to make sure his henchmen get the job done before he's at the spatial disruptor installing the diamond. He wants this shit done now. He's sick and tired of waiting. Warren continues to struggle as the Dazzler fires up the machine, ready to wreak destruction on Paris. We're just targeting the French for some reason.
Why not?
Sure. As he fires, though, the machine doesn't do what he expected. Instead, it starts running rampant, feeling like it's going to break apart. Dazzler and his henchmen flee, but Bert stops for a moment to confront his nephew, furiously demanding to know how Warren managed this. Smug as can be, Warren reveals that he got a glass duplicate instead of the real deal. The henchmen, too, seem to have stopped their evacuation, returning to defend their leader as Warren wails on him. This proves to be a bad idea of the henchmen, as Warren quickly swoops up both Candy and the Dazzler, getting everyone free and clear as the machine explodes. Rip henchmen.
Wow, fuck those guys.
Dazzler, apparently a real genius, decks the guy, currently flying him high above the streets of New York, stunning him into dropping both he and Candy.
Great job, Uncle Bert.
Right, and now we're in a situation where he can only save one. Who's he gonna pick? Candy or the guy who killed his dad?
Right.
Warren drops down quickly, trying his best to be aerodynamic enough to drop down faster than Candy so he can catch her. He makes it, but he doesn't have enough time to catch the Dazzler, and he doesn't seem particularly interested to try. Instead, flying the still unconscious Candy off to a hospital. Which, yeah, is she okay? Should she still be unconscious? Because after Warren was put in the stasis tube, he was fine. Maybe that's just because he was a mutant.
Right.
Also, did Warren just explode the Statue of Liberty?
What?
Well, the base was underneath the Statue of Liberty, remember?
I know, I didn't remember that, but... Okay.
Did Warren just blow the Statue of Liberty up?
I think so.
Well,
at least the
Dazzler
base.
did it.
Yeah.
Under renovations. But since that was kind of short, we've got one more issue to cram in here.
Haha, nice weed shirt.
Gwen Stacy Gwen Stacy celebrates 420.
420 is long past.
Well, it's 420. It's 420 somewhere, much like Jimmy Buffett. It's not, in fact, 420 somewhere, but someone's living it up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, our last issue is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 92 from October of 1970, written by Stan Lee towards the end of his run on the title. Apparently, we haven't quite wrapped up things with Stan after all. But in less than 10 issues, he's going to pass things off to guess who? Fucking Roy Thomas. Can't go anywhere without running into this fucking guy.
Ha 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 ha.
We've got Gil Kane on pencils, who I don't actually think we've run into before.
No.
John Romita Sr. on inks, who I also don't think we've run into before.
Nope.
Both he and his son have been pretty prolific pencilers with Marvel. And rounding us out, we've got Artie Simek, again, over on letters. So I'm going to have to give a brief rundown on what's been going on with Spider-Man comics right around now, because I actually know that.
Okay.
Loosely, anyway. It's been a while since I've read it.
Tell me.
Because we're going to open this issue right now on some drama, I don't remember how long it's been since Captain George Stacy's death. He was pushing a child out of the way of a falling chimney in a fight between Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. But his daughter Gwen, Peter Parker's girlfriend, absolutely blames Spider-Man, so that's a messy situation for Pete. Gwen has been talking with this crooked candidate for district attorney, Sam Bullitt, who wants to do something about all these vigilantes running around the city, if I recall. They're also apparently doing this in Peter's apartment. I don't remember why, but apparently the pair had some kind of suspicion into Peter having a connection with Spidey. Well, this would seem proof positive now that Spider-Man is climbing in through the window. Gotta think fast, Petey, what you got? Well, what he's got is to snatch up Gwen Stacy and carry her off out the window, calling after himself that he'll never try to trap me again!
What? Kidnapping, that's his answer.
Pete, how does this prove that you have no connection to Spider-Man?
He's really great at thinking on his toes, clearly.
I don't
He's
understand.
a great improviser.
So is the implication that Peter Parker lured Spider-Man here as a trap?
I guess. What? How does kidnapping Gwen help this situation at all?
I don't know. He pivots into explaining some things for Gwen as he carries her up the side of the building. Gwen probably should stop demanding that Spider-Man let her go. Just a thought.
Yikes.
He explains that Stacy's death was an accident and that he wasn't here to see Parker, but instead he was following her and he wanted to tell her. He then also points out that trying to hit him in midair is really stupid.
You could have told her this, without kidnapping her.
No shit. Well, not with Sam Bullitt there. This is a private conversation.
We'll just say, can I talk to you privately in the next room?
I don't think she was going to be receptive to that. This whole hitting people in midair is a weirdly prevalent theme for this episode.
Yeah.
Down below, some civilians watch in on the scene, disturbed to see Spider-Man carrying off this damsel in distress. One of the women even turns to her companion, pointing out this whole situation to this Bobby, and that, folks, is why we're here.
Oh, Bobbert.
Yep.
T-Man.
T-Man! Surely T-Man can do something about it. He's got all the testosterone that modern science can provide.
That's my favorite trans superhero, T-Man.
Not to be confused with Mr. T, who's a whole different guy.
Different. Completely different. Unrelated.
God, I need a second. Well, the Bobster knows he has to do something, and first that means ditching his date. Interesting how after waiting quite a while to get a date with this dame, he immediately ditches her for the first thing. Wonder what that's about.
Wow.
Well, whatever that was, he piles her into a cab, quickly ditches his clothes, and runs off after the spandex-suited man, sliding off in the direction where Spider-Man was last headed. Peter finally sets down on a rooftop with Gwen, even as Iceman is fast catching up. He readies to explain some things, hoping to finally throw the suspicion off himself, but before he even gets started, Iceman slides onto the scene, ready to defend Gwen. It quickly turns into a fight, as it seems that Peter was apparently too good of an actor at trying to be a heel, and Bobby definitely bought it. Iceman's more than holding his own against Spider-Man, and what's worse, it seems he wasn't the only one hot on his tail, as down below the police begin to cordon off the area, which I don't know how that would be all that helpful because the guy can run on rooftops, but hey.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, let's go with that.
He's just gonna parkour away.
No shit. And he's fast. He can parkour like real fast.
He can.
But that leaves Bobby, the hero of the day, as he slides back down the street, depositing Gwen safely back down on her feet once more. Bullet, the prospective DA, quickly moves to try to twist this situation to his own ends in front of the gathered press, praising Iceman but insisting that he gets Spidey next time, making it seem as if Iceman is working for him. I love that even now, we know Law and Order candidate is a load of shit. Love ya, Stan.
Fantastic.
Back at his campaign headquarters, Bullet has apparently gotten exactly the situation he desired. Reporters constantly requesting interviews, to the point that he's not even going to bother with them anymore, when one of his staff members insists that this one is important, as it's coming from the publisher of the Daily Bugle. The one, the only, J. Jonah Jameson.
Your favorite. Your absolute favorite.
I love Jonah.
I know.
So much. Bullet decides, yeah, okay, this one's important. Jameson is pissed off, and he's decided that no longer will the Daily Bugle be supporting his campaign. It seems that they've dug up some dirt on Sam Bullet. After he gets off the phone, Bullet and one of his bodyguards head off towards the Daily Bugle, bearing a pistol. Jameson and city editor Robbie Robertson are gathered in Jameson's office, discussing the Bullet situation, when they spot just the man outside with one of his bodyguards. Air quotes. Bullet bursts in, demanding to know just what it is that Jonah thinks he knows, and Jameson expresses his full intent to publish the way Bullet's men earlier put pressure on Peter Parker, demanding information on Spider-Man. It's been quite a while since I read it, I don't really remember what happened with that. But once Jameson was willing to hear it, Robbie had a whole dossier on this guy, finally causing Jonah to see that Bullet was bad news, that he's a bigot who takes his support from hate groups, which he immediately proves by calling Robbie Black Man, which Jonah will not fucking stand for.
That's your fucking Law and Order.
Yep. Stan knows what's up.
Clearly.
He then says something, way worse, that I'm choosing not to repeat here because, wow, offensive. So the pair then watch Bullet storm back out of the publisher's office, Jonah cautioning Robbie to watch out for his safety, because this guy's bad news. Later, we see Peter, now safely back in his normal duds here at work. But something stinks here, as he sees that some of the hoods who earlier put the squeeze on him are headed for Robbie's office. Suspicious, he continues watching as they walk off with Robbie between them.
Oof.
As Peter continues to watch them board the elevator, he notices a pistol pressed into Robbie's back.
Yikes.
Dashing for the roof, he quickly ditches his clothes and throws on his mask to follow from above. He's ready to go when something snags his ankle mid-spring, which sounds really painful to me.
Yeah.
But I guess if you can lift that much, maybe your whole body weight pulling against your ankle isn't that much? I don't know. It's Iceman, though, who has now snagged both of Spider-Man's ankles in, little lassos. I don't know how to explain it. Ankle cuffs?
Like those, those little grabby arms that old people use to reach the high shelf.
But made out of ice.
Yeah.
Obviously. Well, okay. Yeah. What timing from the mobster? Spider-Man breaks free, and he's having a little better go against Iceman in this one, but Bobby's still putting up quite a fight. Meanwhile, down below, the car with Robbie in it is caught in traffic, but it's now pulling away, and if Peter can't get after it soon, he'll lose them entirely, which won't end well for Robbie. He's got all the incentive he needs to break loose, insisting to Bobby that he has to catch that car. Bobby still follows after, but Peter then breaks his ice bridge and leaves him webbed to a light post.
Poor Bobby.
Finally, he can get back to the business at hand. He catches up to the car again, following behind until the goons finally force Robbie into an abandoned warehouse. Peter manages to crawl himself inside through a sunlight, watching Bullet's thugs manhandle Robbie into a chair before tying him up at Bullet's direction. He then threatens Robbie, clearly with bad intent. Meanwhile, Iceman has broken free and managed to track Spider-Man over here somehow. Maybe he used his bird senses.
His snowman senses.
He notices Spider-Man hanging down, watching the scene, and takes a look himself. Bullet then orders his thugs to get rid of Robbie once and for all, and then he leaves the scene. Peter can't wait much longer. He looks up and notices Iceman, making it clear that he's on his side, and then it's time to go. With ice and webs, they disarm Robbie's closest captors, but that doesn't mean the fight's over just yet. More hoods are headed their way, but working together, Spider-Man uses an iced-up alley to play some henchman bowling. They finally free Robbie from his bonds. Iceman and Spidey are worried about Bullet getting away with it, but with Robbie free, the newsman doesn't think they're going to have any trouble getting the word out.
I can't decide if these two Jokers would be... would get along super well in other circumstances, or if they would still hate each other.
I think...
Because I feel like they're both, like...
They're that guy.
They're both trying to be the class clown,
exactly.
Right? And you can't have two class clowns.
There's a Spider-Man show in the 80s where Spider-Man hung out with him and... Is her name Firestar?
I don't know.
A red-haired girl, a yellow suit, red boots. Okay. I
don't know.
I don't know if Firestar's right. I'm forgetting. I would know this, but I forgot. So nobody give me shit. Hey, listeners, if you can remember who the bitch's name is, I know her name's Angelica. If that helps. She's not the Pickles, though. Not Pickles. I don't remember her name.
Angelica wasn't a Pickles.
What?
She wasn't a Pickles.
Wasn't she? I thought she was...
No.
Was she?
No, it was Tommy Pickles.
But there was Tommy Pickles. I need to sort this out right now.
Angelica wasn't related to them, was she?
Yeah, she's like...
Oh, shit.
A niece or something.
Cousin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not like Tommy's. This was really important.
This is vital to understanding the Spider-Man comic that we're reading right now.
About Firestar, which sounds like one of the Warrior Cats, so I don't know if that's right. Anyway, yeah, there's a show where they hang out. I don't know. I think they mostly get on pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I love all three of the class clowns. Peter, Johnny, and Bobby.
I know you do.
Hearing about how they're gonna turn him in, the thugs decide that it's their opportunity to make a break for it and let the boss know what's going on. But they're not gonna get away that easily. Bobby whips up an ice slide to knock him back into the room and into the waiting webs of Spider-Man. It seems Sam scheduled his murder right before a fundraising event.
Great job.
Very tight schedule, but he's made it in time to get here and give his speech about how he's gonna lay down the law.
You know, he's making the most out of the time that he has available.
Absolutely. You gotta be efficient with it. Sam Bullet stands for law and order. Sam Bullet will not be intimidated by his enemies, by the turncoat newspapers, or the superheroes who are afraid of me. I'm just gonna leave that there without comment. But he's...
Getting political.
Little bit. But he's cut off before he can really get a full head of steam going, as someone bursts into the room objecting to the marriage, or the election. And they declare that Sam Bullet is indeed, instead, a liar and a crook. It's quickly revealed that the accusations are coming from none other than Spider-Man and Iceman, side by side. They then explain that the henchmen squealed as soon as they got to the cops, and that Joe Robertson survived. Which is Robbie's real name, by the way.
Okay.
Robbie's just a nickname.
Okay.
He then does the movie thing where he as good as admits to his crime. No, he's dead! Robertson is dead! He has to be! My boys never fail me!
Oh, God. I wish it would happen like that in real life sometimes.
Don't you just? He tries to quick cover his ass as the party guests leave him at the podium. quickly muscled away by the police as Bobby, Robbie, and Peter watch on.
Fantastic.
Next issue, The Lady and the Prowler, which we will not read.
No.
So that's our issues. What do we have for ratings? What did you think of Angel and the Dazzler?
Once again, I thought it was weird that we relegated fucking Warren's dad being murdered to a random B story in a fucking reprint of Ka-Zar.
No shit.
The story itself, I'd say 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go maybe 2.5 out of 5 because the first issue wasn't actually all that bad, but with each one it got worse.
Yeah.
And I hate how many points in the story I had to say somehow. Because it's not explained how any of it works.
Right.
How about Amazing Spider-Man? I know we're coming in at the end of an arc, so we're definitely missing some context here.
Trying to decide how much I liked it.
Yeah.
Because it got into some very hard and, like, unfortunately quite prescient topics.
Yeah, I think this, you can kind of feel how the end of the Silver Age coming on in some of this.
Yeah. I guess I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
That's about where I stand too. I think that Bobby just ditching his date is really fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't go on a date with you, what a shame.
Oh no.
I've been trying so hard to date her. That's why I've waited weeks to do it. Okay, that's what we've got though. Next on to some housekeeping. Yet again, if you don't, I gotta know what this bitch's name is. I'm losing my mind. Oh, thank God. It is Firestar. Firestar is not a fucking warrior cat.
Okay.
I mean, Firestar might be a warrior cat, but she's also a superhero.
Is Firestar Mary Jane?
No.
What level mutant is Firestar?
And?
What are Firestar powers?
Fire.
When was Firestar created for Marvel?
Somewhere in the 80s.
Alright. Why do people think that she's Mary Jane?
Because...
The character, later renamed Firestar, had Mary Jane's face and traditional long red hair.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that she's hung out with Spidey in the cartoon.
Okay, gotcha.
Red hair girl hangs out with Spidey. Must be Mary Jane.
Of course.
All that makes sense. What the fuck is going on in this picture?
Mary Jane Watson helped create Marvel's other Human
That
Torch.
doesn't explain why she has fucking blood claws!
This is the new segment of the show where we just go down a Google rabbit hole.
Anyway.
What is the source for this art? Someone drew this. Where did it come from?
I don't know. Maybe it's down. Maybe there's sources. No, there's not. Yes, Spider-Man once dated the first American baby. Okay, now I understand what it means. Okay.
Spider-Man's adventures have had Peter Parker meet many famous figures, from President Barack Obama to Stan Lee. Okay. Spider-Man once dated the daughter of Uncle Ben's killer. Jesus. How Virginia Dare ended up in the Marvel. Okay, this is
really irrelevant. We'd have to get way into Marvel 1602, which I don't enjoy.
We're too much.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, you don't have to email me about Firestar's name anymore, so we're good. But if you got anything else to email to us, we're over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. If you'd like to see a video version of the show, you can check us out over on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. It would help us get towards being able to monetize it, which I would appreciate, just so we can, pay for the hosting cost, because we are in the red every month. But we also have Patreon, we have, ESPN Marvel crossover art?
Batman, Harley Quinn, and Joker officially have DC's strangest marriage?
You got me beat. Anyway.
Rick and Morty called out Thanos' snapping away MCU fans will hate.
No.
Anyway.
Join our Discord. We'll link the Spider-Man dating the baby article. That's your incentive. Don't Google it. Join us. We're going to be back next week with Thor doing something. And we look forward to talking to you then. Bye.
Bye.